Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to a very exciting edition of Star Wars news. Amongst the 2024 slate of Star Wars content, we have two animated shows, The Bad Batch Season 3, which we all know is going to be extremely painful to watch, probably with a lot more clone deaths, and the second one is Tales of the Jedi, and the selection of Force users in that show is going to be pretty fascinating. I would say it's probably one of the most anticipated shows of the year. Amidst conversation of what Lucasfilm is going to do next in terms of animation content after these two shows, we have a new rumour courtesy of Star Wars Sessions podcast. Good friends of the channel, I've been on their podcast twice, with a great British banter, great sense of humour. Well, they have heard something pretty huge. They mentioned there are going to be more Tales of shows. Lucasfilm just started with Tales of the Jedi, and they're going to be doing more in that vein. Does that make sense? This is just the start. Later in the episode, they float around the idea of Tales of the Sith and the fact they've heard of Tales of the Bounty Hunters. They said, quote, "I've heard of more Tales of projects. That's not going to be ending anytime soon. That's around the 49-minute mark." And then at 1 hour, 18 minutes 55. Is that a prediction or is that a scoop? They do confirm it's something they've heard, saying there is going to be another iteration of Tales, even suggesting, according to their source, which is someone who is apparently close at Lucasfilm, more High Republic content, which could be a bit controversial, not everyone's on board with that, but that realistically is the next big push, the era Lucasfilm wants to explore in more depth. It isn't just going to be the Acolyte, and now this is me saying this is my speculation. I predict there's going to be a time on Disney Plus. You're going to have an entire High Republic section. Young Jedi Adventures, The Acolyte, seasons 1, 2, whatever they do with that, could be up to 5 seasons, you never know. And then maybe an animated series, an anthology series of shorts, and more in that vein, and that could connect to the Tales stuff. But by the sounds of this specific rumour, Tales was created to be an ongoing series of stories, not just for the Jedi, but as they've heard, for the Sith and the Bounty Hunters, which has the potential to fill in many mysteries, many gaps in stories. If they're not going to do it in the Bad Batch Season 3, then an idea I had is that Omega could meet Boba Fett in a Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Unless they plan to do it in live action, if at all. And I feel as though with Boba Fett, you feel a sense of inevitability. There's going to be a short about him in that show. But this to me is really some of the best news we've had in a very long time. More Tales coming, and not just of the Jedi variety. If you really look at the scope of what they've done with Sith content over the years, and I don't just mean canon, but also Legends material, the Darth Bane trilogy, Darth Plagueis, Knights of the Old Republic, you'd imagine they already have an entire season of Tales of the Sith mapped out. From the gruesome Nihilus to the secret wisdom of Tenebrous, the midichlorian obsession of Plagueis, some of Palpatine's dark deeds, maybe some of his early life as a royal on Naboo. So many fantastic Sith stories to focus in on. If this is true, it's a massive, massive win. Later in the podcast, they do have some more fun by discussing predictions for 2024. And one of these is that something is going to be cancelled for the future slate. They jokingly and tongue-in-cheek said the Lando show, or should I say the Lando film. I think there is always an inevitability with Star Wars and Lucasfilm that things do get shelved, kicked down the road and cancelled, and some projects we never hear about again, such as a droid story. I made a video on that a few months ago, and that is for a different day. But now that we are post-strikes, with Bob Iger pledging to change things up at Lucasfilm with focus on quality, or so he says, I wouldn't be surprised if we've not seen the last of cancelled projects. But I do believe that due to demand and hunger in the fandom, we will be getting more Star Wars animated projects after The Bad Batch comes to an end with its 3rd season. And even if this rumour is true, even if we do get more anthology shorts, more Tales, I would like them to do another big show that's sort of 20 episodes a season, full-length episodes, a big focus on the protagonist and the story. I think with the possibility of Clone Wars spin-offs, or should I say more Clone Wars spin-offs, that might be difficult considering we're now deep into the Imperial era, other shows like Andor and Kenobi have already explored this, and we're about to be shown what happens to the clones. So it might be something very different, and as I say, they might decide to go back in the timeline to the High Republic. The format works, and for all we know, at the end of the Bad Batch Season 3 they're going to give us some kind of teaser for the next thing. You'd imagine Jen Corbett and Dave Filoni have something planned, something down the line. I like to think, and this is me just being speculative, they had a roadmap for this, point A to point B, which is Bad Batch 1 to 3, and then maybe one that centers around the next stage of Omega's life, one which is maybe as an assassin, under Fennec Shand, if she loses all her brothers. and this is just me taking for granted the fact I think Omega is gonna live. I worry for Echo, Hunter and Wrecker. I believe there is a good chance Crosshair sacrifices himself for Omega at the end on Mount Tantis, but I don't want to dwell on this, I've spoken about it before. The lowdown is I think Omega is gonna live. But either way, the future of Star Wars animation looks very bright indeed. So now moving on to our next subject, I've been waiting for a couple of days to cover this topic because there have been a few developments and I didn't want to jump the gun. On the channel I tend to cover mainly Star Wars news pertaining to the upcoming shows and the films, but today I want to talk a little bit about Star Wars gaming because Star Wars Outlaws is coming this year and we do have a bit of news. I have seen a mixture of excitement and apathy for this game and flat out just plain good old don't give a shittery. Many don't have high expectations considering it's Ubisoft. With all of that discussion aside, the other day we got a report saying it's being delayed, and we do actually have an update on that which I will get to. Just over 2 months ago, Ubisoft delayed an unnamed large game to an unknown time in their next fiscal year, which begins on April 1st, 2024 and goes until March 31st, 2025. Though Ubisoft did not explicitly state this was for their Star Wars title, various outlets reported that it was. And on Wednesday, the Disney Parks website confirmed Star Wars Outlaws had been pushed to late 2024, being pushed back a few months. IGN on their website reported on this delay, and then Disney reached out to them for comment, clarifying the words late in late 2024 was a mistake. And then they corrected themselves and said Star Wars Outlaws is just coming in 2024, not late 2024. And now my dear friends, today we have another update which suggests the game is coming very soon. The actress behind the main character Kay Vess, who you play as in Star Wars Outlaws, said this on Twitter: "We've got something special cooking up for you all. Can't wait to share more soon." And the word soon is in all caps and has 3 O's and 3 N's. We're probably going to get another trailer or hear news about this in the next couple of months. Very exciting stuff. I'm willing to give anything a chance. I'm so excited for the prospect of a game set between episodes 5 and 6. I want to hear more about Crimson Dawn, and I'd love to hear more about the building of the second Death Star. There's plenty of original trilogy stuff in this. We saw Han Solo in Carbonite. There are probably going to be tie-ins with War of the Bounty Hunters, and hopefully plenty of other multimedia projects set during this time. So with that said, my dear friends, share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.